You know, it was a frustrating year for us. I'm representing the players. We had a lot of players that had great individual years. I was very fortunate in 1979 to play on a World Championship club, and I know what it takes to win. And if we can, going into next season, get together as a unit, and 25 guys having the best years we're capable of having, hopefully we can bring a World Series to Minnesota.
I doubt even Bert Blyleven realized just how prophetic those words would become. In one short season, the Minnesota Twins would turn from baseball also-rans to world's champions. An incredible tale that touched the hearts, minds, and imagination of millions all across the country. It's the story of an underdog that beat the odds to win it all.
We're gonna win, Twins, we're gonna score. We're gonna win, Twins, watch that baseball soar. Knock out a home run, shout a hip hooray. Cheer for the Minnesota Twins today. We're gonna win, Twins, give it our all. We got the guys who'll knock the cover off the ball. Let's hear it now for the team that came to play. Cheer for the Minnesota Twins today.
Twins win! The story of the 1987 world champion Minnesota Twins.
Cheer for the Minnesota Twins today.
The Twins convened for a press conference introducing key additions to their front office staff. Executive Vice President Andy MacPhail. Director of Major League Personnel Bob Gebhardt. Vice President of Baseball Ralph Houck, and at a later press conference would name President Jerry Bell, all designed to give the Twins a new look, both in terms of wardrobe and on the field leadership, as Tom Kelly was named manager.
I'm very fortunate right now to get an opportunity to run a major league ball club. It's a dream come true for me. I'm looking forward to it with enthusiasm, to get with the rest of the team here and sit down and get myself going and get my coaching staff going so I can get to the job of getting the spring training and getting the ball players prepared for a championship season.
Along with spring training began the task of overcoming the specter of a dismal sixth-place finish the year before. But when the exhibition results were accounted for, Minnesota finished at the top. A winning spring training record of 14-10 was a resounding indication that the Twins were indeed ready for that championship season. But Tom Kelly's troops were also up to some tomfoolery. With past disappointments all but forgotten, new shenanigans were underfoot. And Kirby Puckett's booming bat led to a run-in with the law.
Puck was taking some extra BP, hit a few bombs out of here and just crushed the windshield of the car. All of a sudden, next thing you see, a full motorcycles with cops on them coming after him.
In the process, I keep hitting, and the police officer hollers to Andy MacPhail or some guy. He said, that guy in the cage swings another ball, I'm going to throw him in jail. So I got out of there. He stopped batting practice and everything. I got out of there, and I had to stay out of jail somehow.
The police, however, were on a recruiting drive.
Kirby was our kind of guy. We need him for our OPD softball team, so we sent our own Sergeant Newsom out to talk to him, see if he wanted to join up. I don't think he wanted to take us seriously, though. He was knocking some pretty good balls over the fence there, over the left field fence, and a couple of them hit some vehicles. We got in the middle, but we got it all squared away when Andy MacPhail came out on the field.
But the man who truly arrested the team's imagination was reliever Jeff Reardon, an acquisition who put the Twins' potential into clearer perspective. So with all the missing pieces present, the Twins' remaining task was to put the puzzle together.
I think it's just a matter of 24 guys uniting together. We had a lot of guys last year that had great individual years, but we didn't gel together as a ball club. And this year in '87, if we can gel together as a ball club, if guys can pick up each other and just everybody have the best year we're capable of having, I don't see any reason why we can't win our division.
With Bert's crystal ball working just right, Minnesota's positive viewpoint crystallized during the first 2 weeks of the season, and the youthful Twins showed off a new maturity. On opening day, a crowd of 43,000 was on hand to see whether Bert Blyleven and the Twins could live up to their striking preseason predictions. Steve Lombardozzi erupted in the bottom of the third with a double that put the Oakland A's in deep trouble. Then, as manager Tom Kelly looked on, Kirby Puckett connected on the very next pitch.
Swung on a long drive to left, way back, a home run for Kirby Puckett. The Twins lead 2-1.
With a score tied in the 10th, Puckett picked one.
Back goes Puckett at the fence, and he leaps. He got it. Oh, what a catch!
I thought that we had everything we needed and more. I thought that this team was really going to be something when the year started.
Another opening day hero, Kent Herbeck, delivered in the 10th.
Over the head of Fonseca. A single for Herbeck, scoring Lombardozzi, and the Twins pull it out to win it 5-4.
After a 3-game sweep of Oakland, it was on to Seattle, where the Twins took 2 out of 3. Steve Lombardozzi helped break the ice.
It's a base hit. Lombardozzi scores Smalley.
And Randy Bush helped ice the win with his first home run of the season.
Yeah, that's big trouble. Oh, out of here. Touch them all, Randy Bush.
I think the biggest factor was that we were learning to win, and I think early in the season it helped us as the season progressed.
Their winning ways progressed in Oakland as the Twins took 2 of 3 from yet another Western Division foe.
Line to left center, way back, and past Murphy and to the wall. 2 runs are going to score. The route is on as the Twins have upped the lead on a Herbeck double to left center.
The outlook was especially bright when catcher Tom Nieto contributed with 4 RBIs in 2 days.
Twins lead 5-1 on a 2-run single to right center by Tommy Nieto.
I'd never thought about the odds. I was just telling friends and relatives to go out and place a bet on us if you wanted to get a good chance to win some money.
The Twins were odds-on favorite in Anaheim when slugger Gary Gaetti made book on a long shot.
Oh, boy, that's smoked. Way back. Hey, touch them all, Gary Gaetti. 3-run blast. Holy cow, right over the center field fence.
The Twins shook Western Division rivals some more. They greeted Seattle with a Roy Smalley smash.
Smalley hits a high drive to right. There it goes, way back. Upstairs, a home run.
After 2 more victories against Seattle, Minnesota had blasted off to their second-best start ever, 10-4. The first-place Twins had established a winning attitude.
Kind of set the tone for the rest of the year where we'd win the big games when we had to.
The Twins' hot start must also be attributed to the new man behind Minnesota's managerial door, Tom Kelly. It was Kelly who authored the winning game plan.
I had to instill a good attitude in the ball club. Attitude's a big part of the game, and all the coaches that I've spoken with, hockey, football, basketball, they all say the same thing. The players have to have a good attitude and enjoy what they're doing, or you're not going to get anything out of them.
Wait.
And Kelly's approach resulted in a unique relationship with his players.
Never asked for more than you can give. All he did was ask you to just come to the park, prepare yourself to play, and give him 100%. That's all he asked.
TK's always had good numbers. He's won just about every place he's been. And this year was no exception.
Just said he seemed like one of the guys. I mean, he hasn't sit on a pedestal and say, hey, I'm the manager, and you guys listen to what I do.
I do what is right for the Minnesota Twins, which I feel is right for the Minnesota Twins, and Mr. McPhail hired me to do what's right, in my opinion. So that's the way I go about things, and I don't back off from anybody else.
Kelly's leadership kept the Twins on an even keel, and they prospered greatly from his day-to-day approach.
We don't try to get too high and uppity, and we don't try to get too down when things don't go so well. We try to stay in the middle, and we try to have fun with it to a point where we're not way up on a high plateau. You know, if we stay in the middle and we'll have our fun. The guys try. They're trying very hard for themselves, for the organization, and for everybody that supported us. Win, lose, or draw, they're giving it their best shot.
Tom Kelly's approach led the Twins to the stairway of success, and it was never more evident than in June, when Kelly's regular group of heroes was joined by a platoon of other champions. The Twins were heavily armed with soldiers who waged winning warfare. And while the Big Four contributed in a big way all season, it was the contributions from other sources that helped the Twins emerge victorious. When it was time to leave for battle, everybody contributed. Steve Lombardozzi on the offensive.
Line drive, too tall for Scott Fletcher. Odovi charges. They're going to send him. Game is over.
From high-impact conflict to the Butera bombings.
Swing and a long drive into left field, down in the left field corner, and that ball is off the wall. A bases clearing double for Sal Butera.
And how about Bush Commander Randy?
Bush swings and lines it down the right field line. Fair ball. Here comes Al Newman to score. Randy Bush to second base with a stand-up double. Twins lead 5-4.
Baptism under fire. Rookie Gene Larkin mobilizes foot soldier Greg Gagne.
Could be the ball game. Jackson unleashes the throw. It's on the money, but he's safe at home, and the Twins win.
And long ball lieutenant Tim Laudner.
High, way back. Boston will have a play at the track. No, it's gone. For a moment, it looked like he had it.
And the troops even tried hand-to-hand combat in Milwaukee. By June's end, Minnesota had fought hold of a 2-game lead in the Western Division thanks to a potent attack. And a pitching staff that was moving on target course. As July started, Bert Blyleven was 6-6. By season's end, the curveball artist hurled 15 victories. He surpassed Jim Perry on Minnesota's all-time win list and proved to pitch his best when the going got toughest. The same could be said for starter Frank Viola. Similarly, Viola was 6-6 at the end of June, but finished with a flourish to win 17. His confidence shining through despite an abysmal start.
I was 2-5, but I had the confidence going, and I knew good things were going to happen. There was a course there where I lost the game 3-2, 1-0. You know those games are going to turn around, especially with the offense we have.
But when it was all said and done, Frank Viola would have the type of season which dreams are made of. Both Viola and Blyleven earned the hands-down respect of both manager and teammate.
When we needed a game out of Frankie, a big game, he always rose to the occasion. And the same thing with Bert. When we needed a big game, those two guys pitched their hearts out.
As did Les Straker, the 28-year-old rookie who only accumulated 8 wins, but who pitched valiantly in key games. Les was even more important when the Twins lost starter Mike Smithson. The front office filled the gap when the 6'8" pitcher was cut down by an injury. The Twins felt an urgency to fill the void with some experienced veterans, namely knuckleballer Joe Niekro. And future Hall of Famer Steve Carlton. But when push came to shove, the call went to the Bullpen Express. And there to answer, Keith Atherton, the 6'4" reliever, delivering 7 wins for the Twins. Yet another rush hour specialist, the ever-popular Juan Berenguer. Magic Juan gathered in 8 wins, and at times made batters look like matadors, waving at his bull-like fastball. But the main bullpen man was relief specialist Jeff Reardon, who collected 31 saves in some pressure-packed situations.
Of course, there's a lot of pressure. You're going to be the one that's remembered probably the most, because you either get the last out or you're going to lose a game. So that's probably the toughest part of the job. Is mentally, it's harder on you than it is physically.
Much of Minnesota's success from June till October stemmed directly from the pitching prowess of Jeff Reardon. But despite the positive aspects of Minnesota's pitching core, the Twins ran into a real dry spell in June. 4 consecutive losses to the Texas Rangers helped the Twins drop their 4-game lead in the Western Division standings. And as the pennant race tightened, a familiar nemesis stalked in the wings. After a 4-game set with the Twins, the Kansas City Royals were ticketed to take a share of first place.
Double play. Oh, that ball's hit well. Gladden can't get it, and it's a 3-run homer for George Brett.
Even a former Twin cost the win, Jim Eisenreich.
Eisenreich mashes it. Kirby Puckett can't get it. Biancalana is coming around third, and this game's over. Former Twin Jim Eisenreich gets the game-winning RBI, and the
final score 4-3.
And the Royals would take 3 of 4 from the slumping Twins, who had lost 7 of 8. A look at the standings clearly showed that it was time for Minnesota to take a deep breath. On July 4th, the Twins were a percentage point behind the Royals. And although July ushered in a rough schedule filled with tough Eastern Division clubs, the Minnesota fans were hoping that the Twins were ready to accept the challenge. Over the 4th of July weekend, the Twins flagged down the explosive Baltimore Orioles with an exciting 11th inning win.
Base hit! Twins will win! Steve Lombardozzi lines a single to center.
2 days later, Kent Herbeck completed a 3-game sweep of the Orioles with 1 swing.
Swings a drive at the deep right, deep, and it's a home run over the canvas in right field. A game-winning homer for Kent Herbeck.
Minnesota recaptured first place the next day as Frank Viola hurled a complete game masterpiece in New York to complete a 4-game win streak, and the Twins were back on track. The Twins would grasp onto first for the rest of July as Bert Blyleven surpassed Ferguson Jenkins on the all-time strikeout list in a game against New York. And against powerful Toronto, the Twins harnessed lightning by breaking a 10-game dry spell against the Blue Jays.
He hits it hard, left field, and that thing is gone. Gary Gaetti.
All in all, the Twins more than held their own against the Eastern Division, but it was more than their usual display of timely hits that kept the club in first through most of July. It was also a display of errorless baseball, including a stretch of 10 consecutive errorless games. The type of consistent glove work that the Twins showcased all season long. If July ended with a defensive sparkle, August came in on a rather odd note. Defenders of truth and justice filed an unusual complaint against knuckleballer Joe Niekro.
Then they start drilling Joe, and Joe looked like a little kid out there in the mound. He didn't know what to say, what to do.
It was really quite funny to me. I didn't know whether to laugh or to cry when I saw that sandpaper and file come out of his pocket.
Checking him all over. I've never seen him do a search like this, quite like this before.
Apparently Joe keeps a file in his pocket to file his fingernails. He threw that out and landed right next to my foot.
To watch the expression of one of the umpires following the sandpaper from his pocket to the ground and watching one of the players try and cover it up with his foot, to me was quite funny.
Now, poor old Joe bagged the suspension despite his claims of innocence. As a result, Niekro picked up a lot of support. Rock star Huey Lewis even got in on the act, and Joe Negro fans decided to start a defense fund to protect their fallen hero.
Joe Negro Defense Fund, and the proceeds are going towards Joe Negro's defense to prevent any suspension and to prove that everybody carries a Emery board.
Despite claims of innocence, Joe would have to face a suspension. But Negro would be back to pitch in one of the most key series of the entire season, a 4-game set against Oakland. Tony La Russa's club came into town in a virtual tie with the Twins for first place. And when they left, Mark McGuire and his teammates were dumbfounded. Oakland's Dave Stewart was in the midst of a personal 7-game win streak when Kent Herbeck clocked his 25th home run of the season.
To deep left center field, way back, and gone.
La Russa and 40,000 others on hand observed as Stewart allowed 5 earned runs, and Kirby Puckett was also partly responsible.
To the left side, through! Lansford, 1 run will score. All the way to the wall. Bush will come around, 3-run score, and Puckett holds up at second.
And the Twins completed a 9-4 rout in the opener. Back on hand to pitch after appealing his suspension was Joe Negro. And once again, Minnesota shined when it counted most.
Very, very important games. And I think at that particular time was when we played the best baseball throughout the whole season.
0-2 pitch, hit in the air to right field. Davis goes back. It's off the wall. Gaetti will score, and Bernansky goes into second base. 2-2 pitch. Hit up the middle. Polonia will charge, but it's in front of him for a base hit. Bernansky comes around, and he'll score the second.
Really using him to his best.
Butera lines a base hit into left field. Lombardozzi will come around and score the 3rd Twins run.
Tony La Russa's pitching surrendered 34 runs in 4 days as the Twins rolled up some awesome offensive numbers at the Metrodome. Ken Herbeck contributed with 3 home runs during the series.
Well, that ball may not come back. Gone.
And Minnesota completed an important 4-game sweep as Tony La Russa's troops were temporarily dismissed from the race. With a 3.5-game lead on August 10th, the Twins sensed that they were on the verge of a special season. Just how special was yet to be revealed. But the glimpse of enthusiasm that winning brought was a joy for every fan to behold.
Looking in your eyes, I see a paradise. This world that I found is too good to be true. Standing here beside you, want so much to give you this love in my heart that I'm feeling for you.
Let them say we're crazy. I don't care about that. Put your hand in my hand, baby. Don't ever look back. Let the world around us just fall apart. Baby, we can make it if we're heart to heart. And we can build this dream together. Standing strong forever. Nothing's gonna stop us now. And if this world runs out of lovers, we'll still have each other. Nothing's gonna stop us. Nothing's gonna stop us. Ooh, all that I need is you. All that I ever need. All that I want to do is hold you forever.
Twins fans and the Minnesota Twins have always held a special relationship. But it was beginning to exhibit itself more clearly than ever whenever the Twins played at the Dome. Opponents were running into a mess of trouble. In mid-August, the Dome field advantage was more apparent than ever when the Seattle Mariners came for a visit.
They're so hot here that it's unbelievable. I can't believe the difference between the team that we played in Seattle and the team that we're playing here. I mean, last night in the first inning, they looked like sharks. They really did in a pool of blood.
And that ball is hit deep to right field. Kingery going back to the track, to the wall. Fly away.
They're like sharks in a feeding frenzy.
We like playing there. Just home, sweet Dome.
Home sweet dome indeed. Twins fans were becoming rampant.
52 tickets. Can I get 52 brand 52 tickets?
Pennant fever was in the air. The thrill of victory was everywhere. And of course, the Seattle Mariners paid the price.
Brunansky belts a ball deep to left field. Bill Bradley goes to the wall, high away. Twins are incredible here in Minneapolis.
The fever was catching on all over the Twin Cities with no exception and with clear reception.
And it would go Twins go. Go Twins go. Go Twins go. Go Twins go. Go Twins.
And the Twins responded to the support with the results that reflected an undying appreciation from the players themselves.
That was one of the biggest reasons we're so good at home is the fans really come out to the ballpark. They really support the team, and you know, the guys want to go out there and play for the fans as much as they do for themselves.
Fastball popped up. This should do it. Newman, the shortstop, calling. Makes a short two-handed catch, and the Mariners are swept in this four-game series in Minnesota.
The Twins were becoming unbeatable at home, and the rest of the league knew it. But what was Minnesota's secret dome field advantage? And who or what mysterious force was responsible for the Twins' dizzying success there?
I think the reason that we play so well at home is before every big game, upon entering the stadium, our fans are given instructions to take a deep breath while we're hitting and hold it. Therefore, it makes the air less dense and the ball travels a lot better.
The reason why we play so well in the dome is because we turn the fans on when we hit for home runs and blow them in when the other team's hitting.
The reason why the Minnesota Twins win so much at home is because, like Dorothy said from Wizard of Oz, there's no place like Dome. There's no place like Dome.
Or maybe the Dome Dwarf himself has something to do with it. Legend has it that the Dwarf mystically redirects fly balls from opponents' mitts. Well, losing clubs always seem to concoct painful excuses for their own misfortunes. But one logical reason for Minnesota's magical record at the Dome might stem from the ear-splitting noise that the fans create, equivalent to that of a jetliner. Prompting some less than casual observers to rename the Metrodome entirely.
Thunderdome.
Kirby Puckett should know he caused much of the Dome's thunder with his booming bat. And on August 29th, Kirby took his thundering bat to Milwaukee, where he put together one of the most remarkable two-day stretches in baseball history, tying an American League record with 10 hits in 11 at-bats.
Way back. Touch 'em all, Kirby Puckett. 3-0 Twins lead. Oh, did he smoke that one?
Tom Trebelhorn saw Kirby collect 4 hits in 5 at-bats.
Hey, Kirby's got another one. Way back. Touch 'em all, Kirby Puckett.
Next day I come back to Sunday and I feel great. I remember telling the guys, I feel great today again, guys. Something's going to happen.
In the first, Kirby singled. In the third, he hit a home run, 2 for 2. In the fifth, he singled again, 3 hits. In the sixth, Kirby doubled, 4 for 4. Then he even saved a grand slam with a defensive gem.
Oh, boy. Caught by Kirby. What a grab.
In the eighth, he collected his 5th hit, 5 for 5. Good enough for mere mortals, but not Kirby. In the ninth.
Way back. Oh, touch 'em all, Kirby Puckett. What a game.
6 for 6.
It's a day that I'll never forget. I mean, everything I hit just seemed to fall in. Didn't matter where I hit it, it just seemed to fall in. And we won, so that was important too. That was the most important thing.
Kirby Puckett's performance put the Twins back in first place, and this time they were determined to stay there for good. The high-flying Twins were believing that the force was with them, the force of fan support. And against Cleveland, the force of their bats.
There she goes. Back, back, and touch 'em all, Tom Brunansky. Gagne swings, base hit to left. Here's Gladden, green lighted. He'll try to score. There'll be a play. He's safe at home. Bush swings and lines one to deep right. Way back. Touch 'em all, Randy Bush.
After a 3-game sweep of Cleveland, the magic number had been reduced to 10 as Minnesota played host to the Rangers. A combination of Oakland losses and Twins wins caused the magic number countdown to continue.
Into center field. Brower coming high. Gets by him. He should go all the way around. And inside the park, home run for Greg Gagne, and the Twins lead 4-0.
Fletcher is down. That's 10 for Viola. And the Metrodome is rocking. The magic number is 6. It looks to be going down some more tonight.
The magic number is 5.
The countdown still continued. And as they faced Kansas City, the Twins had the opportunity to clinch a tie.
The fans were cheering and applauding and everything before the game even started. And I know the guys' hearts were beating fast, and Gary Gaetti said, let's go, guys. Come on, let's do it. We're going to do it today.
Puckett drives it to center. Wilson going back. It's deep. It's deep. It's gone. Gaetti tries one to deep center. Wilson going back. And this one is gone.
Very similar to Puckett's.
Way back. And gone.
Football press box.
3 first-inning home runs, and Bert Blyleven's masterful pitching reduced the magic number to 1.
The Twins have a share of the American League West title.
And saying thanks just isn't enough. We're going to bring the flag home with us. Thank you.
Only one thing remained between the Twins and the Western Division title, the Texas Rangers. At Arlington Stadium, the air was thick with anticipation. Kelly's heroes were gunning for the clinch, and the man called on to pitch in the pinch, Joe Niekro.
Smash, double play, just like that. Lombardozzi. Hansky, big lead at first. And a drive, hit into deep left field. Way back, and it is gone, a home run. Steve Lombardozzi has just tied the game for the Twins with a 3-run blast here in the 4th inning. Jeff Russell to Steve Lombardozzi in a 1-1 delivery. Twins lead 4-3. Lombardozzi delivers with a clutch base hit to right.
Oh, my, what a night.
And the Twins were finally on the very verge of clinching the pennant. With the clinch a cinch, team owner Carl Pohlad watched at home. The air was still thick with tension and anticipation when Jeff Reardon was called on to terminate the situation.
Dow with his lead. Herbeck plays behind him, and a little fly ball to the second baseman. Lombardozzi to throw to first. They got it! The Twins win the championship.
A happy and victorious moment for Mr. and Mrs. Pohlad.
Come on, Daddy.
And for the players, a jubilant victory celebration that will never be forgotten.
Yeah, we had all kinds of stars in the game, but we had some fun. We had some fun out there, and it was great that we could end it this way.
We wanted to do it so we could trash their field.
Well, it wasn't one man carrying the whole load. Everybody did their share, and it was everybody contributing either the day or the day after. And it wasn't the same players. And we're a team. We're playing as a team, and that's the way to win.
All we can do is now just win the league championship series and go to the World Series and win, and then my lifelong dream will be fulfilled.
That World Series dream would be just around the corner. But the Twins were taking things one day at a time, and after returning from this final road trip, there was some time to enjoy their Western Division victory. The Twins returned home to a triumphant celebration at the airport, but there was still an important task at hand. You see, Carl Pohlad had agreed to shine Joe Niekro's shoes if the knuckleballer managed to help clinch the Western Division title. Emery Joe made good on his end of the bargain. Now it was Mr. Pohlad's turn. Hey, it's not every day of the week a fella gets his boss to shine his shoes, but as long as the boss didn't mind, Joe was willing to enjoy it. Oh, well, the good-natured fun ended with a hearty handshake. The Twins fans were anxiously awaiting the main event with hope that the Twins could indeed polish off the American League Eastern Division winning Tigers. With the task of winning the American League pennant at hand, the Twins greeted the Eastern Division champion Detroit Tigers and manager Sparky Anderson with confidence.
This is where we want it to be, and that's all you need to know.
Indeed, the Twins were where they wanted to be, and despite being heavy underdogs, Tom Kelly's team was doggedly determined. And with yet a new ally at hand, the Homer Hanky. Detroit's September hero Doyle Alexander's on the mound, but this was October, and Gary Gaetti was batting.
Swing a high fly ball out to deep right center field. Way back it is. A home run. 1-0 Twins.
The pitch by Alexander, a swing and a fly ball hit out to deep right center field. Way back, and it's a home run. Number 2 for Gary Gaetti.
You never know what's going to happen in those situations. I'd never been in the playoffs before, and I was just trying to relax. It's nice to know that the game doesn't change a whole lot. It's just everything else surrounding the game. You got a lot of people in the stands. I probably had more fun in those playoff games than any other time during the season. It was really enjoyable to play baseball.
Especially with the Minnesota offense crushing the ball.
Swings it. It's a line drive down the right field line. It's a fair ball bouncing off the canvas. Larry Herndon playing the Karen push around second. He's going to go for 3. And he slides in with a triple. Bernansky swings ground ball base hit over third base. Down the left field line. Bush has scored. Bernansky on his way to second. Swing line drive right field base hit. Bernansky scores and it's 4-1 Twins.
The Twins led after 5, but Sparky Anderson's Tigers began to claw their way back.
And here's a long blast. Brunansky back. He's a spectator.
And you can see it's the first signs of uneasiness that Tom Kelly has shown.
After falling behind, Minnesota tied it on Kirby Puckett's double. Then veteran Don Baylor batted.
They said, in comes the pitch. Swing and a line drive base hit left field. Kirby Puckett scores. The Twins lead 6-5.
Minnesota would score 4 in the 8th to dump Detroit in the opener 8-5. With one victory under their belts, Minnesota starter Bert Blyleven faced the Tigers, the team with the Major League's best record during the regular season. And with the Homer Hankies out again, outfielder Chet Lemon was determined to stop them from waving in the second inning.
And Lemon drives one to deep left. Gladden turns and watches it leave.
Chet Lemon's 420-foot home run gave the Tigers an early lead off the home run-plagued Blyleven. Then with a 2-0 advantage, native Minnesotan Jack Morris took his perfect 8-0 Metrodome record to the mound. And with runners on first and second, he faced Tim Laudner.
Swing line drive into left field. That's going down into the corner. Bernansky will score. Here's Gagne at third base. He's going to try to score. The throw to the plate. He scores. And the Twins lead 3-2 on a double by Laudner.
In the 4th inning, Dan Gladden batted with the bases loaded and 1 out. After fouling off 2-ball and 2-strike pitches, Jack Morris delivered, and so did Dan Gladden.
Line drive, base hit, left field. 1 run is in. Here comes Bernansky. He's going to score. The Twins lead 5-2.
And in the 5th inning, Minnesota's lead was extended some more by Ken Herbeck.
Swing and a drive hit out to deep left field. Way back. Going. And it is a home run for Herbeck into the left center field seats. And the Twins lead it 6-2.
But Ken Herbeck and the Twins not only excelled at the plate, but helped protect Bert Blyleven's lead with some defensive razzle-dazzle in the 8th inning.
Swings, it's a ground ball behind third base, backhanded by Gaetti. Long throw to first base, and Herbeck reaches out, lying down, and catches the ball.
I've called it the couch potato play, as everybody's known. I really did not actually stretch for the ball with my legs. I just kind of laid down and reached out, and the ball found my glove. I mean, it was one of those things.
And Sparky Anderson was staring a 2-game deficit in the eye when Juan Berenguer blew the Tigers back to Detroit.
Here's the windup, the 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, he struck him out. Berenguer striking out 4 of the 5 men he faced. The final score, the Twins 6, the Tigers 3.
The dome field advantage was at work again, but now the Twins would have to win on the road. Walt Terrell was Detroit's starter for Game 3, held the Twins scoreless through 3 innings. But the Tigers failed to protect a 5-0 lead as the Twins fought their way back.
There's a high drive, deep left center field, way back out there, and that ball is in the lower deck. A home run for Tom Bernansky, cutting the Tiger lead to 5-4 here in the 6th.
Base hit right field. Gladden scores. Gagne comes in to score. Twins leading the game as Herbeck gains third base. It's now 6-5. Minnesota leading.
With one of the biggest comebacks in playoff history in the making, the Twins turned things over to Jeff Reardon in the bottom of the 8th. With pinch runner Jack Morris taking his lead off first, Reardon delivered to Pat Sheridan.
Drives one to deep right. Way back. It's on its way. And the Tigers have the lead.
As disappointing as it was to the Twins, Sheridan's home run was emotionally uplifting for the Tigers as the momentum was in danger of shifting. But would it carry over to Game 4 as Frank Tanana faced the Twins club in quest of only its 30th road win of the season? But once again, the underdogs performed like champions. Kirby Puckett.
Here's a curve to Kirby and a long belt deep to left, way back into the seats. Touch 'em all, Kirby Puckett. The Twins have tied the game. The 1-1 delivery. It's a changeup, and it's hit high, and it's hit deep to left. It's back. It's back. It's gone. Touch 'em all, Greg Gagne. The Twins have the lead at 2-1.
1 out and pinch hitter Gene Larkin, number 9. Swung on a ground ball over third, down the left field line. Here comes Gagne home, and the Twins lead 4-2.
Then the key defensive play of the game in the 6th inning.
A set of circumstances that set that up worked perfectly. The ball was low. Laudner handled it perfect and came up and threw a good, made a good throw to third. A lot of people talk about that as being a turning point in that game, which it was, and maybe even in the series.
As Reardon leans in to take the sign, here's the set and the pitch. Curve strike 3, call a breaking ball, and he got him looking.
Reardon had redeemed himself by preserving a 5-3 win as the Twins jumped ahead in the series 3-1. As Game 5 was about to begin, the Twins were feeling confident of their chances to wrap the series up with a road win.
It was good. That's it.
And as Twins fans gathered to watch their heroes, they shared the same certainty.
The boss let me off early. I was down here when we won the Western Division Championship, and I wanted to come down for this because I think we're going to do it right now this afternoon.
We're off today, of course. We're not working, but Detroit Tigers!
As Twins fans looked on, starter Bert Blyleven pitched shutout ball for the first 3 innings, and he received some dazzling defensive support from shortstop Greg Gagne. But Minnesota's game plan also included a 4-run 2nd inning outburst.
Bernansky, a line drive into right field. It's a fair ball just inside the line. Gaetti will score. Bush is rounding third base. They're waving him in. Lombardozzi getting his lead at second base. And the pitch. Sinker swung on, line drive, base hit left center field. That'll score Lombardozzi with the 3rd one of the inning, and the Twins lead it 3-0.
Of course, back in Minnesota, Twins fans were celebrating early, and with good reason. The man who had posted a perfect 9-0 record for Detroit during the regular season, Doyle Alexander, was being pummeled in the playoffs.
Now the pitch on the way. Swung on, lined hard into left field for a solid base hit. They're going to send Gladden in as Gibson nonchalantly throws the ball into third base. Gibson just sort of gave up on any attempt to try to get Gladden at the plate. That's a little surprising. He had nothing to lose by making an effort.
Well, maybe the Tigers sensed that the American League pennant was finally in the cards for Minnesota.
As Bernanke gets a high fly ball to deep left field. Boy, this is really tagged. And back goes Gibson all the way, tries to reach over the railing, and he can't get it. It's a home run for Tom Bernanke, and the Twins now lead it 7-4.
As the high fives raged from Detroit to the Twin Cities, all that remained now was for the Twins to seize that final out.
Reardon locates the sign from Laudner as Whitaker leads at second. Gibson from first, and the pitch. Fastball swung on a ground ball to Reardon. He's got it. Throws it to Herbeck, and the Minnesota Twins are the American League champions. And how does that sound? The Minnesota Twins, American League champions, for the first time since 1965. The American League pennant belongs to the Minnesota Twins.
A moment in the sun to savor for eternity, and a time that will one day live as an exclamation point in Minnesota folklore. But the overflow of emotions was just an inkling of the outcry that was yet to come. That same night at the Metrodome, Twins fans patiently waited for the triumphant return of their heroes. And when they appeared, the love and admiration streamed forth in a heartfelt scene that will be talked about forever. American League Championship Series MVP Gary Gaetti was overcome by the moment.
I couldn't control it. You know, I just had to cry. And then I just couldn't help it. It was that sentimental for me and that special that, you know, I didn't really care what anybody thought, you know. It touched me, touched my heart, and I just, you know, I broke down.
Tears of joy glistened in many eyes that night. And the anticipation of the thrills that still lay ahead was the Twins' only remaining goal. Baseball's World Championship. The fanfare for the 1987 World Series had begun. The bustle around town was heightened to new proportions as all were eager to open baseball's 84th World Series. The starter for Minnesota's opponents, the St. Louis Cardinals, Joe McGrain. For the Twins, it was Frank Viola. And the Twins' favorite Lucky Charm was out in full force. After the Cardinals jumped ahead 1-0, Ken Herbeck and the Twins drew blood in the fourth. Then Twins fans really jumped for joy when left fielder Dan Gladden cleared the bases.
Fly ball, left field, it's deep, it's back, it's way back, it's gone! Touch him all, Dan Gladden, on a grand slam home run, and the Twins lead 7-1.
Sweet music to Frank Viola's ears as the left-hander allowed only one run through 8 innings en route to a 10-1 cakewalk. The only line of business that remained was a salutation to his newlywed brother. And Keith Atherton went about the business of recording the game's final out. For Minnesota, a mighty World Series debut. And as the fans turned out for Game 2, anticipating more of the same, the Twins' ticket to success was still deeply ingrained in Tom Kelly's day-to-day approach.
His philosophy about staying on an even keel and taking one day at a time not getting too high, not getting too low, became ingrained in us. People commented on the way we played with such maturity. And again, I don't know if the players really realized what had transpired. I think Tom's philosophy had carried over into the postseason, and that was the main reason why we played with such maturity.
The man the Twins looked up to in Game 2 of the series was Bert Blyleven. For St. Louis, Danny Cox was called upon to pitch, but the Twins reached him early.
Breaking ball swung on, a fly ball hit the deep left field. Way back, it is a home run for Gary Gaetti. The Twins lead 1-0.
Twins batting in the bottom half of the fourth inning. Last night they scored 7 runs in the fourth. Here's a pitch. Line drive, base hit, right field. Kirby Puckett will score. Ken Herbeck will score. Gaetti on his way to third. It's a double for Randy Bush. And the Twins lead 3-0.
Tom Kelly's next hero was Tim Laudner, chairman of the Buck 98 fan club.
Here's a ground ball, base hit, left field. 1 run scores. Here's Randy Bush trying to score. Coleman's throw to the plate. It is not in time. Randy Bush is in with a 5th run for the Twins. 2-run single by Laudner, and the Twins lead 5-0.
Laudner would go 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs and a home run as the Twins scored 8 runs on 10 base hits. And as Jeff Reardon closed out an 8-4 victory, the Twins found themselves running away with the first 2 games of the series. An unexpected but enviable position for underdogs to be in. Then it was time to pack the gear and head to St. Louis and Busch Stadium. The starter in Game 3 was Les Straker, who pitched valiantly through 6 innings, striking out 4, allowing no runs. But Juan Berenguer allowed 3 runs in relief, and the Cardinals were off the deck. A 3-1 win that uplifted St. Louis spirits. In Game 4, Minnesota jumped on top early when Greg Gagne connected in the 3rd inning.
Here's the 2-0 delivery. High drive, deep left field. Way back, touch 'em all. Greg Gagne, and the Twins lead 1-0. Oh, a blast to the low area in left field. What a clout by Gagne, and the Twins have a 1-0 lead.
But Frank Viola was roughed up badly in the almighty 4th when Tom Lawless broke a 1-1 deadlock with a home run. An unexpected blow from a most unlikely source, a man who had only collected 2 hits during the regular season. With a series deadlocked at 2 games apiece, the Cardinals capped off Game 5 with a 2 RBI performance by Curt Ford. All total, the Cardinals scored 4 runs on 10 base hits and a series record tying 5 stolen bases in their Busch Stadium finale. With the so-called Twinkies facing elimination as a result of a St. Louis sweep. The Twins had to win 2 with their backs against the wall, but they had yet to lose with the home run hanky present.
My baby does the hanky panky.
The Twins took the field for Game 6. Hoping for all the support they could muster. With Les Straker pitching in the biggest game of his career, second baseman Tommy Herr opened things up with a home run. It was only Herr's 3rd home run all season long, and for St. Louis, it was a 1-0 lead. But Minnesota's hitting attack swung into high gear early. Kirby Puckett's single to left field in the first inning tied the game at 1. And with Kirby Puckett leading off of second base, Don Baylor put the Twins ahead by 1 run with a single to right field, scoring Puckett. But St. Louis would claim a 5-2 lead until the 5th. Gary Gaetti launched a double that gave Minnesota their 3rd run. Then the heroics were left to the able bat of Don Baylor.
High fly ball, deep left, there it goes. A home run for Don Baylor. The game is tied at 5.
It was Baylor's first home run in well over a month, but it certainly could not have come at a more opportune time. Then with the Twins leading 6-5 in the 6th, reliever Ken Daly faced Kent Herbeck.
This ball swung a long drive. Center field, way back, way back. It is a grand slam. Herbeck, a grand slam homer over the center field fence. First pitch, 10-5 Twins.
It was the 15th grand slam in series history, and the miraculous Minnesota Twins were on the verge of evening the series.
Here's the set by Reardon, and the pitch. Swing and a high pop foul behind the plate. Laudner throwing away the mask, may have a play. He does, he has it, and the game is over.
A 10-5 win that set the stage for a grand finale, the game in which dreams are either made or broken, Game 7 of the World Series. St. Louis stormed ahead to an early lead, but as usual, the Twins fought their way back. Tim Laudner's single in the 2nd inning resulted in a controversial play at the plate. While Don Baylor was called out, the next batter brought the Twins to within 1, Steve Lombardozzi.
Swing and a ground ball up the middle, a base hit. Here is Bernanski around third base. He will score, throw back to second base. And Laudner dives back. It's now 2-1 St. Louis. Lombardozzi singles up the middle.
In the Twins' 5th, with Minnesota still trailing by a run, Greg Gagne beat out an infield hit. Another disputed play this time. It resulted in a Minnesota base runner and a departure for Joe McGrain. With McGrain out, the Twins dug in against the arm-weary Danny Cox.
Swing, drive hit into right center field. That's going to be in there, and it's going to find the gap all the way to the fence. Greg Gagne around third will score on the double by Puckett. The game is tied at 2.
The Twins took the lead in the 6th.
Swing a ground ball behind third. Great stop by Lawless. The long throw to first base is not in time. Gagne beats it out. Bernanski scores. The Twins lead 3-2.
With Frank Viola on the verge of MVP honors for an outstanding effort, reliever Jeff Reardon was asked to close the show one last time.
Here's the pitch. Swing a bouncing ball to God. He has it. Goes to Herbeck, and the Twins are baseball's world champions. The world champion, Minnesota Twins. The Twins win it 4-2. Let's listen to this crowd. What else?
The only thing that remained was the celebration. The impossible dream had become reality. The Minnesota Twins had proven themselves to be the best. And the trophy presentation symbolized how far the Twins had come.
They told me a few years ago that they shouldn't have had baseball in Minnesota, and you've made it very real. It's a class organization. It was a great win. Congratulations to you, Carl.
Right. That thing's pretty heavy.
It was official. Carl Pohlad and his championship team could finally savor the moment. A time to treasure for the rest of their lives.
Had the time of my life. No, I never felt like this before. Yes, I swear it's a truth, and I owe it all to you. 'Cause I had the time of my life, and I owe it all to you.
Well, the Twins as they win their first championship since 1970. Drive, base hit, left field. One run is in. Here comes Bernansky. He's going to score. The Twins lead 5-2.
The fastball swung on a long drive. Center field. Way back, way back. It is a grand Burbank, a grand slam homer over the center field fence.
Had the time of my life. No, I never felt this way before. Yes, I swear it's a truth, and I hope it don't take you.
With the realization of their monumental accomplishments finally setting in, Minnesota regaled their Twins with a parade. The world champions were the toast of the Twin Cities, and the fans hailed their conquering heroes. The steps of the St. Paul Capitol building served as a platform for Kirby and the rest of the Twins to salute their sea of adoring fans. But there was still one more trip to be made.
Oh, it doesn't look like he's having too much fun, though, does he?
A visit to the White House and a congratulatory salute from the president.
You know, right up there until the end, there were a few skeptics saying the Twins didn't stand a chance. But with Frank's pitching, and Gary's fielding, and the hitting of Kirby Puckett and Dan Gladden, and Tom Brunansky and Kent Herbeck, your team was a shoo-in. As Kirby said after the final victory, you're #1 in the whole world.
The final note in a magical storybook season. But perhaps the biggest source of Twins magic came from the fans themselves, the devoted followers who helped the players rise to the occasion. And the players themselves acknowledged the support of their fans, thankful for their unwavering support.
Everyone had thanked me for the year that we had, but at this particular time, I would like to thank all of you for what you've done for us.
Again, I want to thank the people of Minnesota for making this a fun year, and let's do it again next year.
We did it. We all did it. We rowed in the boat together, and we stuck together as a team, and we won it all. So, I mean, there's nothing else for me to say except I'll never forget it. Thanks for the memories, guys.
We're no longer the Twinkies. We're the world champion Minnesota Twins.